today that's going to be important because we're making carne con papa, which is a bear of a recipe. It is. So first thing we're doing, we are going to get our pan really, really nice and hot. And while that's getting hot, we're gonna season our meat just really simply with salt and pepper. Now, when it comes to the meat, we love to use a good quality beef. So this is a chuck. So it's not necessarily the leanest, right? But we don't want it to be lean because we're gonna cook this for a really long time. But we want it to be good quality. So it's an Angus chuck. Most importantly, you see how all of these are kind of the same size? That's one of the big things that you want to look at. The meat is really nice, red, vibrant. You want that as well. That's right.
Just salt and pepper?
Just salt and pepper for now. And then we're gonna add in the oil. And we know the pan is nice and ready because it got nice and hot, smoking up.
And that's it, we're going in.
Go in.
All right. What do we want to know here? We don't want to overcrowd the pan.
Yeah, this is just like a typical braising recipe. So what do we talk about when we're talking about braising? First we sear, then we're gonna add a load of vegetables, right? In this case, it's a sofrito. And then we'll add a liquid and we'll bring it up to a boil. And then we're going to simmer it for a really long time until the meat completely breaks down.
I'm gonna just finish adding.
Yeah,
For the sake of
no, but I think we're fine.
that we're all on.
It's really nice and hot. So when the pan is really nice and hot, I'm less afraid of
The crowding
yeah.
and the sticking. If they're sticking a little bit, that's okay.
We don't want to touch it. Let it just kind of get hot. Once we're ready to flip it,
The hardest part of cooking is not touching.
that's right. There's a time where you just need to wait.
Right. So we're gonna wait a couple minutes on each side.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna flip.
And show them, Christy, if you want. If you guys want to see, it's developed a really nice crust, and that's exactly what we want to see. Just basically on two sides. It doesn't have to be so meticulous all around, but we want to develop that good flavor. Same thing now for the next side. Don't touch it, just let it be, and let it develop that crust.
All right, so everything is seared, so we're just gonna remove it.
Perfect.
And
You'll be out there.
job. The pan's gonna be nice and full of little neat bits. We love neat bits.
We love that golden crust down the bottom. And this is why it's important to always have kind of your prep ready. So it's not gonna get too hot and your onions are already cut and ready to kind of start deglazing that pan.
Question, they're not all equally seared.
That's okay. That's okay.
You just really wanted it for this.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here we go. Sofrito time. I mean, if you've been watching us for a while, you know sofrito. At the heart of all things,
It's a base of onions and then different peppers for us, for our sofrito. And of course, garlic. And then we would start
in the name of onion, peppers, and garlic,
amen.
with a little sazon sprinkle.
A little sazon sprinkle, and we'll sprinkle also salt. Helps so much to release all of the liquid from the onions.
It's a little dry. Yeah, we need to add oil, yeah?
Yes, yes.
See, I'm learning.
Love it.
I'm learning. All right.
The exact measurements are on our blog. And you can find, like Christy said, the recipe for carne con papas, the traditional one, or carne con papas, the Instapot version. And it'll walk you through the exact measurements. But it's really important that we take a look at what it is that we're looking at, right? What it is that should be happening, which is that the onions, you want them to saute, you want them to get soft, you want them to pick up all the bits from the bottom. And then we could just leave it for now.
So we're gonna move our onions like we always do, add in our peppers.
We're using a mix of peppers, poblano, red, and orange in this case. I like to use a mix of peppers, always adds, kind of that color, and it does add a different taste. Each one gives a different kind of vibe to the dish. Some are a little bit sweeter, some are a little bit tangier. So I like that mix.
But use what you have or use what you let.
Exactly.
And always, never let anything like, oh, I don't have a red pepper or I don't have a poblano stop.
Don't let it stop you. Yep. And then we'll go in again with a little bit of sazon.
We want a little bit of salt.
And a little bit of salt. And then we'll let this cook down. And then we'll add the garlic once that's cooked down. All right, so onions, peppers, everything's cooked down, looks really good. Let's move it to the side.
If you've been here before, you know what's coming. The garlic.
Garlic, let it saute, let it get really nice and golden. Not brown, but golden. And then once that's ready, let's just get everything else ready. So we're gonna have our vino seco. If you don't have a good quality vino seco, we always say to use white wine. Something dry like a Sauvignon Blanc is a good idea, a Pinot Grigio, something like that. The difference between vino seco and just a regular white wine is has a little bit more of that fortified flavor. So again, you're just adding more layers of flavor with just one ingredient versus having to add a lot more ingredients for that same flavor. So we're gonna use vino seco, we're gonna use broth, we're gonna use tomato sauce and get our beef back in there. When we're talking about braising, it's really important to know that we don't wanna boil it down so much, we really want it to braise. So that means that we're just barely covering everything to give the meat the opportunity to cook down and get soft, but it's not about boiling it. Does that make sense?
Kind of. I was gonna ask about like, what's the difference between braising?
Yeah, that's the difference basically between braising and boiling. Like we would boil a pasta, but we wouldn't boil the meat.
Got you. That was good. My garlic is golden.
Perfect. I think we're in good shape
All
there.
together.
Yep, mix it all together.
And so now this is the sofrito base.
Yeah.
And where are we going with it?
And then we'll add the vino seco.
Again, all the measurements are on our website. That was probably what, like about half a cup?
Yeah, about half a cup. It's the kind of thing that as long as you do it at the right time, so now when it has a chance to cook out, you really can't add too much. So whether you're adding a quarter cup, half a cup, or even a cup, if you do it at the right time, you're good.
And look, it helps you pick up all those last little bits of the brown bits on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. All right.
Perfect.
Tomato sauce.
Right, once you see that kind of dissipated, then you're ready for the tomato sauce.
We're using crushed tomatoes.
We're using crushed. I like the texture because it comes with a little bit of texture, and this is something that, imagine from this point on, it's still gonna cook another 2 hours. So if you start with sauce, it may tend to get watery, whereas if you start with a crushed tomato, it's gonna hold up to all that time.
Such a good tip.
And then we'll add in our beef
And the juices.
all of the juices, very important. And then from this point, mix it all in.
We gotta make sure it's all covered, yeah?
Pretty much like almost covered. And we're gonna add in our broth.
Hit me, boss.
Ready. All right, that looks good.
Again, so the website's gonna tell you a certain amount that you wanna be looking at it, right? We don't wanna completely drown.
We don't. And it's important because on all of our recipes on the website, we do specifically say, X amount, 4 cups divided, or 3 tablespoons divided. And that means that you're using that same ingredient several times throughout the recipe. So we're gonna let it come up to a boil, and that's really when we're gonna see if we need to add more liquid up to this point.
Okay.
All right,
We've got it to boil.
perfect. Up to a boil. I'm not gonna add more liquid. This is exactly how I want it.
Hang on here.
Yeah, you can kind of see the meat peeking through. So we're gonna cover it, drop it down to a simmer, and now it's gonna simmer for about an hour 15. It's been simmering for about an hour and a half. Yeah. So now you see how it's slightly reduced. That's what you wanna see. The meat is still a little bit tough, but it's coming together.
Let it have its time.
Yes. And then we're gonna add all these veggies in.
I love that we're adding sweet potatoes. Not super traditional.
Not super traditional, but I think it's delicious. And, we got to add in those veggies whenever we can.
Let them all in, tuck them in.
Yeah, tuck them in there.
Am I bringing this back to a boil, or I'm just letting it simmer more?
Yes, great question. We always want to bring back to a boil before we simmer, because that way we do it the right way.
So we'll bring it up and then simmer it again for what? Like another hour?
At least an hour, I would say realistically another hour and a half.
Okay, let's be ready. About an hour and a little bit. And she's done. How do we know?
Looks delicious, smells delicious, and
Fork tender.
fork tender when you look at the meat.
Here's one of these little potatoes. Yep,
Perfect.
she's done.
So you see everything stayed intact, even the carrots and the sweet potato, all of that stayed intact. So it's important to kind of just add them in after.
Tastes delicious.
All right, let's serve it up.
Serve it up. All right, she's finished. Hit with the last little part.
If you don't make the sound, it's just not the same.
That doesn't taste as good.
Okay,
Right.
delicious. Exactly what you want to see. Just like really, really tender beef and lots of sauce. Again, begs for white rice in my book.
I was just thinking, and so sad we don't have white rice, as always.
Yes, but
Oh my God.
exactly what you want.
So soft. The meat's so soft. It's like a hug.
This is also something that's amazing to make a big batch of and freeze a portion of it and have it at a later date. It honestly tastes even better the next day, I think.
I think all food tastes better than.
But she's a leftovers girl. We're both leftovers people. So, yeah, we hope you guys love it and enjoy it.
Come back next time.